Hi guys, and welcome back to Birmingham Fan TV. This is the Bftv show sponsored by Boyle Sports. So hello guys, and welcome back to the Bftv show. Apologies about no episode last week. We'll start at that one. I know a couple of you asked where it was. Unfortunately, the file's corrupted. So me and Corey had the delight of recording last week's episode only for it to crash. And by that point, it was too late to go out. So yeah, apologies about no episode last week, but we are going to continue this week and try and wrap up 2 weeks into one. So easier said than done, but we're going to try anyway. No Emily this week. Unfortunately, she is currently preoccupied somewhere else. She's terrible like that. So unfortunately, it's just me and Corey. I'll make it out like that's a bad thing, Corey. But
yeah, good morning or good afternoon, whenever you choose to listen. There's a lot of news to go through this week, and obviously a lot to catch up from last week's podcast that failed.
Yeah, well, that's it. We're going to try and be miracle workers and condense 2 weeks into one, and we're terrible at doing 1 week into one. So this should be interesting. But yeah, Corey, how's it going? Everything good on your end?
Yeah, that's good on my end. Bit of sunny day today, so it's not too bad. But looking forward to the start of the season this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I suppose, was it the start last week or this week? I'm going to class it as this week, but
yeah, same.
I was going to say we can't talk about last week, but we're going to have to talk about last week. So we will get onto that one in a little bit. But guys, don't forget, just before we do get into the video, if you can like this, if you really do enjoy it, obviously they're up on Spotify now. So Corey's making sure that all of those are up to date on Spotify. So if you've missed any of the previous ones where we've talked about the manager or the squad going in through pre-season, you can always go and catch up on those on YouTube and Spotify. And if you haven't already subscribed or follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, we are on that at the minute for all your daily Blues updates and news. So go and follow us on there if you haven't already. But that just about does all the intros from me. So we'll start with pre-season. So pre-season came to an end. I suppose, do you want to try and summarise it? Do you want to give it a rating out of 10? How have we performed? How have you felt pre-season's gone, Corey?
Again, pre-season's hard to judge, isn't it? It's all just about fitness, gelling new players together, trying new formations. It's hard to give it a rating, really. Like you say, the results have been a mixture. We haven't looked great going forward, but I think defensively we look solid. We look solid. Like it's hard to say. It's hard to judge. What would you say, James?
I'd probably go with somewhere with 7 out of 10. I'd go with a 7 out of 10 because, like I say, results aren't the be-all and end-all of the business. But from what I've seen, there's been so much progress in so little time with the players and the structure of the team. I think there's a lot more positivity surrounding the club at the minute, which is great. Otherwise, well, saying that, if you read Twitter this week, you wouldn't have believed it. But there's a lot of panic on Twitter, which I think is a bit unnecessary. People need to take a deep breath and understand that things take time. But like I say, we'll get into all of that because I think a lot of the fears are coming from transfer related sort of, and then I think the game last week has kind of spiked that panic. But yeah, if you look at the pre-season, it's been pretty good.
It's hard with a media-driven world we live in, and rumours fly around everywhere. With all the in the knows on Twitter, and there's always a new rumour flying around. But I think, like I say, pre-season was, like I said, you don't really know if it's a success or not until the end of the season, do we?
No, of course.
If we do something good this season, then we go, well, it's a success. If we do poorly, it's a negative. One reference from the pre-season, obviously back to the Spurs documentary, which has been quite a good tool to kind of learn about Karanka from obviously Jose's teachings. And that documentary shows that Jose, as a coach, pre-season they go into it by just playing with the balls. Obviously this season we've seen less fitness-orientated coaching compared to the last few seasons where we've seen weeks and weeks of the players running around fields, which is quite interesting to see a different pre-season, I guess.
Yeah, I actually really love that documentary. I think it's great. I always like the The Man City one was good.
Yeah, the Leeds one was pretty decent as well.
Leeds was good, yeah. And obviously the Sunderland ones are a little bit funnier, but
yeah.
I think I'm on episode 5 of this new one. I think I got one more episode to watch tonight. Didn't watch it with England on last night, but no, it's like you say, it's a completely different preseason. I think that he's very much going to. I don't think we've ever been an unfit team. I wouldn't say last season we were particularly unfit. Maybe we weren't as sharp as we could have been, but I think Blue's biggest issue is, like you say, technical ability and use of the ball. And you can see it a lot more that the players are going to try and work on that. And I think that that's been our biggest letdown, and that's why I'm so impressed with the preseason, because you only have to look at some of the statistics from the games, all bar the Spurs one, I think. And we've really done well in possession of the ball. We've been a lot more. We showed a lot more intent to keep the ball, which is not like a Blues team. And this thing's going to take so long to overhaul. Years of playing under Rowett and Monk, where possession wasn't really a factor in our game, and to change that is a big ask. And that's why I think the preseason's gone so well, because you only have to look at some of the work we've done and some of the statistics from each game, which I'm sure the club will be looking at, and it's been relatively pleasing. And then to come through injury free, other than Juki and Guards, who shouldn't be too far away now, we've been relatively blessed.
Yeah, like I say, the squad seems a bit more balanced. We're definitely stacked in midfield.
Way too stacked.
Well, yeah, I think up front we're a bit imbalanced, but like I say, I think we've got numbers. We're getting numbers in those positions now, and only really apart from up front.
Yeah, we'll get into the striker in a bit.
Yeah.
But we'll firstly talk about what was our first competitive game on Saturday, which was the first round of the Carabao Cup against Cambridge United. And we're out again. We are out in the first round again for the third year in a row. And I mean, it's hard to get away from the result, but performance-wise, forget the result for a second. Performance-wise, how did you analyse the performance?
Like I say, Cambridge were good. We've got to give some appreciation to Cambridge. That is turned up and we're decent. And we spoke about this before. That mentality, regardless who's playing, if we're going onto the pitch thinking we're going to lose, more like you will lose. And it was hard for Blues. We just couldn't break them down. Defensively, like you say, there was only one chance we give them, really, the free kick they scored, and they scored from it. So yeah, it's a hard one to take, really.
Yeah, like you said, I was angry at the time because, it's embarrassing. You keep getting beaten by lower league opposition, and it happens occasionally. The odd banana skin, but we seem to be the team that every lower league team wants to draw at the minute, because we seem to be an easy target in the cup at the minute. And I don't think it was for the want of we didn't take it seriously either. I think last season there was an argument for, we played Portsmouth, but we played all the kids. Yeah. So, we didn't take it seriously. I think this year we took it seriously and we still got beat. On the other hand, the statistics and the performance show that where our weaknesses lie, I guess, which was good. It was almost like another pre-season game where it highlighted what's still to do and what we still need to do, and that clearly is going forwards.
Yeah, we spoke, even defensively, James, we spoke about it a few weeks ago, talked about obviously the review of last season, that our vulnerability. Last season, we were one of the highest scorers of set pieces, but also one of the highest of conceding set pieces.
Yeah.
And again, it just seems to be our Achilles heel, set pieces in general. But going forward, it's hard. It's hard on the young kids who are being shifted in because of the options we've got. Like I say, they need a few loans, I believe. A few loans out to lower league clubs. Mm-hmm. We look at Odin Bailey and Seddon, who've done really well from these loans. Potential's there, they just need the experience.
Yeah, I guess I feel like you're highlighting like Adnan George there, and
yeah,
and a few other names, maybe like Amari Miller, Jaden Reed, they all need to go out on loan. You know, I've been relatively impressed with George, you know, for a 17-year-old kid, or 18, I'm not sure, particularly his age yet, but he's an incredibly talented young man. You can see that, but there's certain aspects of his game he needs to polish up. You know, like you say, I think we discussed that his decision making in the final third was a little bit off. That comes with experience. He needs to go and work on that slightly, but you can see his footwork, his technique's pretty good. He's got pace about him. He's got some power about him. So he looks a good one for the future. Again, Jaden Reed looks like someone that could bring us something. And Amari Miller as well. But it's unfair that we keep throwing these kids in at short notice and expecting them to perform.
Yeah, we saw it last season. I think the Stoke game away, we spoke about this previously, that again a lot of the young players played in that game there, and the senior pros struggled in that part of the season, and with lack of confidence, belief in themselves, and it's harder for them. They're looking up to the senior pros to teach them, to help them with the problem on the pitch, and so like you say, a few loans for them hopefully gives them confidence, and obviously they'll come back next season and see what they can do.
Any particular standout performers from this one? I know it was a defeat, but is there anybody that really, you know, took the mantle and really shined in this one?
Not really for me. There wasn't really any standout performers. I thought George and Harry Dean weren't too bad at centre half again. They seemed that seemed to be the cemented partnership for next season. Well, this season, sorry. And I think I've been quite impressed actually with their relationship. And seem to work well with each other. They seem to be discussing with each other. They seem to trust each other, which I think is the most important thing. I think we saw last season Mark Roberts and Clark Salter was probably the most trusted partnership. But like I say, I think probably those two, if anyone.
Yeah, like you say, you know, if you look at the performance and you look at the statistics, other than the goal, which, okay, it's goals that matter, but we didn't really concede many chances, you know. I think we only conceded one shot on target, 2 shots in general to them. And they didn't trouble us other than the goal, which was an easy set piece into the box that should have been dealt with, either by the defender, the keeper maybe come a bit too far and didn't claim. So that was a bit silly. But, you know, you can see defensively, we look really strong, you know, and that's what was asked originally, is that Karanka's going to come in and make us hard to beat. We do look particularly hard to beat, but the flip side of it is that, you know, going forward, we look so toothless, we look so blunt, we look so out of ideas going forward. We don't look like creating much. Okay, we had 7 shots. Okay, we had 66% possession, but it counts for nothing if you don't have that spark, that quality. And again, you can argue that some of the new lads aren't in yet. We're missing Juki, but the fact of the matter is we're still a couple of players short, aren't we, in that field?
Yeah, definitely. I think, James, you look long. If you look further back than last season, when was the last time we've been good enough up front? I think my closest memories are probably Donaldson, Cottrell, and Gray a few seasons back. It's not just last season. The season, even though Adams and Duke had a really good season 2 seasons ago, they were our only creative spark, our only goal scoring options, really. Which they both had really bright, outstanding seasons. But apart from that, it's been a long-term issue we've had for years.
Yeah. No, you're right. You know, I don't remember many Blues teams, and I'm going back to like the Premier League times, early Steve Bruce era. There's not been many Blues teams that have just looked so ruthless going forward. You know, I think Chris Hughton's team was probably one of the most ruthless I saw going forward. Like you say, early Gary Rowett under, you know, with Donaldson and Terrell and Gray and Cottrell, they looked okay going forward. You can say, you know, Monk got the best out of Juki and Adams, but as a combative unit, we didn't look great going forward other than those two. And Adams that season, you know, was our key. You know, if we didn't have him, we wouldn't be talking about that team. So, yeah, it's been a while. And I think that's partly down to we never have options, really, up front. But we also lack quality. And I think we'll come on to it in a minute about strikers and who we need and what's required. But I think other players have got to step up to the mantle as well. We need a bit more from our fullbacks going forward. We need a bit more spark in that midfield too. Looking on Saturday, I thought Max was getting back to his best. I thought he looked a little bit better going forward, but that final ball from him, same from Pedersen, that final pass, that final run, is he brave enough to make that running behind? We're not seeing enough of that. And, is that a fair criticism?
Yeah, I think the fullbacks just lost a lot of confidence. I think the last 6 months or so, they've really just fell from grace. Collins surprised me. He's always been quite a consistent performer. Again, not sure if it's maybe a minor injury or what's gone wrong with him, but as we know, Pedersen's had his injuries the last 12 months or so. And Pedersen seems disinterested. It's horrible to say, but he does seem disinterested in, I don't know if it's the squad or the club. I'm not sure if his head's been obviously influenced by transfer rumours. It's just not good enough at the moment. And like I said, people are questioning whether Seddon fills in at left back instead. What do you think?
Seds you can clearly see how good he is, especially going forward. I think they're maybe a bit cautious of him defensively still. Not quite as physical as Pedersen, maybe doesn't have the experience. I think he's more than capable of stepping in if we require him. And like you say, I think Peds has got a couple of games to prove himself or he'll be dropped because he's got a more than capable sort of left back who's breathing down his neck at the minute. But I think that like I say, it goes for a lot of them. I think at the back four, only Dean's looked like he stepped it up a notch, really, which is credit to him, considering he was probably the one that got hounded most. The midfield too on Saturday didn't work for me. It didn't work. We've said it. I think we said it a couple of weeks ago. You can't play Kieftenbeld and Sunjic together. It's not going to happen. And I don't think it will happen Saturday. I think Gardner and Sunjic is probably your best partnership. But when Guards is out, you just can't put Kieftenbeld there.
No, we spoke about this a few weeks ago. I said that Sunjic is probably better off by himself. You saw the England formation yesterday with Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice in midfield. It's not Calvin Phillips only plays by himself in that just in front of the back four. I said before that Sunjic might actually be better by himself with more responsibility. It'll be hard. I think Clayton, when he come on, was superb. Really changed the game, and I think he might throw him from the start. I know this might not be there, but I think Crankham might just throw him in from the start.
It's got to be, because it allows then Sunjic to do that sitting role by himself instead of both midfielders who do the same thing sitting in front of the back four. It allows us to have a variation, and we need someone that can pass the ball. And Clayton brings us that. He's someone that has a bit more weight of pass. He's someone that has a range of passing. And you could see that on Saturday. He was spreading the ball 40 yards and he could pick it up and switch play. And this is someone that's only had a week's training. He's not fully fit either. No. So, I think from the start on Saturday, it's got to be them pair in midfield.
Definitely.
It's difficult though because I think midfield is somewhere where, like you say, we've said we're stacked in terms of players, but we're not particularly stacked in terms of quality, in my opinion.
No, definitely not. Where's Josh McEachran? How far is he away?
A couple of months, I think.
A couple of months still.
November, you're talking, I think.
Again, I think the player that people have been talking about, by that player sitting next to a CDM like a Sunjic, a player who can pass the ball and move it around, that's more mobile maybe than Clayton, is a Josh McEachran. I just don't think he's ever shown anything at Blues or had the opportunity to do that role. I imagine very similar to Lewis Baker, who obviously we got linked with. Is there much difference in the players? I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think McEachran is someone that has got the quality to sit and do that deep playmaker role, but you can't keep him fit. The kid can't stay fit, and that's been his problem the whole career. If he was staying fit, he'd be in the Premier League, but he can't stay fit. if we could keep him fit, I would play him. But like you say, he's not back till November, so he's not an option till then. In my opinion, it should be Guards or Clayton next to Sunjic. Probably Gardner when he comes in, but we'll wait and see what his plans are. But I really like Clayton. I like what he offered on Saturday. I knew, he was going to be that type of player that was going to, dictate games and try and take a hold of the ball and make things happen. It's just a shame that, we couldn't have him on from the start, because we maybe could have got something from the game had we have had him on from the start.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I think even Odin Bay, when he come on, he was a positive. He was positive on the ball, looking to go forward, and I think that's the biggest difference I've noticed since Crank has come in. Friend and Clayton that he's brought in, both move the ball very quick. That's and all the players, and Dean's been probably one of the best players to take that on board, moving the ball quicker. And that's been our issue for years. We're just so slow at building up play. We were unable to break the sides down. Like I say, I think Clayton will be a pivotal part of that midfield this season.
Yeah, he will. Yeah, certainly. But obviously, looking around, we know that there's areas that need improving. But first of all, we'll talk about the incomings. Adam Clayton came in last week, a free transfer from Middlesbrough, joins the ex-Middlesbrough crew, shall we say, of him, Friend and Karanka. Yeah. You've then got, he was joined last week by three more. Well, I'll say last week. It was the start of last weekend, because obviously we're 2 weeks behind now. Jonathan Lecco, Ivan Sanchez, finally confirmed, and obviously Andreas Prieto, who's played the last couple of games. Good signings, or because there's been a bit of a debate where people have said, you've only spent £1 million on those four players, for example.
Yeah.
Is it a worry, or do you think we picked up bargains there on that one?
I think this is always going to happen. I think we've been overdue some new blood in the squad. Either frees or paid. I think we had to get some free players in, balance the books a bit. Again, I think the good signings. I think Sanchez is a most pretty interesting one. Bit of unknown quantity. Let's see how he gets on. We can't judge him until we see him play in the Championship. It's a lot different to the Spanish Second League. So we'll see what happens. Yeah,
no, definitely. I think personally that they've really made some shrewd signings. If I'm honest, Jonathan Lecco for £1 million. I'm trying to bring some sort of clarity to why the decisions were made. You've only got to look at him. He played 21 games last season for Charlton, where originally he went in as a 19-year-old, finished as a 21-year-old there. Shows how long that season dragged on for. 21 games, 5 goals, 4 assists, so 9 goal involvements in 21 games. That's almost 1 in 2 where he was either providing a goal or an assist. That's a really, really good record for someone of his age going into the Championship. So I think £1 million for him, keep him fit, keep working on him, could prove to be an absolute star in this league and definitely a Premier League player in the future. Ivan Sanchez, again, someone that's low risk, high reward, I think is going to be very, very good. You can see his technical abilities, spoken highly of by Elche fans, very, very highly rated of. Okay, different kettle of fish over here, being in the Championship. But, you can see that players with technical ability usually tend to succeed because, they've got it in their locker. It's just about settling them down and getting them used to the tempo. I think both of those on the wing are going to provide a lot of ammunition to whoever we bring in up front.
Yeah, definitely. I think Rank wants, like you say, he spoke about it before, he wants them to be able to play multiple positions. I think you'll see that throughout the season. The formation might change, might tweak. He said he even tweaks it within game itself. I think that's what we need. We've been very imbalanced in certain areas, or even in games. Sometimes we've had no plan B, and it has lost us a lot of points in the past. So I think Sanchez will be very important in that midfield three.
Yeah, it will. Absolutely. The versatility where he can play it, all the way across those midfield three. Lecco, I think, can play up front and obviously out wide. We know Bella can do anything across those three and maybe as a second striker. So it's important, like you say, that we're bringing in these players that can do a bit of everything, offer us depth all over the place. You know, Terrell can play in the 10 or maybe out on the left if you need him to. Crowley can play in the 10 or on the right. So many options that can play in so many different positions. It's really, really good to see. However, you know, we've brought in these 4 players who, well, I think 6 players we've signed, while have come under criticism. I think it was the second tier pod, who I'm very good friends with, admittedly, but I think their comments were a little bit unjust, if I'm going to be honest. I think they've done that to try and stir the pot a little bit, to saying that they've not been inspired by the signings and he's not impressed with them. I think it's a little bit harsh, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's an external point of view. I think obviously a bit us being internally into the club, it's a bit different. On paper, they're not glamorous signings, but if you watch Blues week in, week out, we need some experienced players. And again, the attacking players you definitely do need. It's hard for people who are external to the club who don't know so much about the club to understand. Like you say, all they see is the headlines of Jude Bellingham going for 26 million to 30 million.
Yeah.
The outside believe we've got money. There might be money to spend.
Yeah, we definitely do. Yeah.
So, but that is the issue. I think they were borderline. Like you say, I have no issue if that's their opinion. It can. Let's just hope they prove them wrong this season.
I think they will. You know, there's Clayton and Friend are brought in as short-term solutions to help bridge that gap between the manager and the new squad. They offer experience in abundance in this league. You know, years and years and years of experience. They're going to help to galvanise the squad. They're also going to help, like we've said before, to help convince the new squad that the manager's the right fit and they need to trust him and listen to him. And then you look at some of the players that we've brought in outside of those. Lecco, £21 million, fantastic statistics last season especially. Okay, he's injured at the minute, but when he's fit and firing, I think he's going to be a £5 million player minimum. Terrell was signed for £3.5 million by Hull 3 years ago. Biggest issue, not performance, it's his injuries. If you can keep him fit, if we can get him back to Terrell of old, you've got a player there that, in my opinion, can provide 7 or 8 goals, 7 or 8 assists across the season, and that you can't buy for less than 10 million. Sanchez, we remain to be seen. You know, I think could be a very, very good signing, but at worst, he offers us an option off the bench at worst.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
You know, still to be proven. He could turn out to be an absolute gem, like Bella, where, you know, his value shoots up to 3, 4, 5 million on a free transfer. So, you know, it's hard to judge him. And Prieto, I think, is a really solid goalkeeper at 25, and he's a free transfer. But he's been brought in as backup. We needed a backup goalkeeper. Okay, we haven't got our number 1 in yet. Okay, we haven't got our top centre-back in yet. Okay, we haven't got our 2 main strikers in yet. That's what people are seeing, not what we've got so far, is just to bulk the squad out.
Yeah, and that's the exact point. It's perspective. You know, if you put yourself into their shoes, then our track record of transfers is not successful. That is the truth. I'll be blatantly honest. It's not.
No, it's not.
And that's a problem. We do, over the last few seasons, we have signed players who have potential or were seen to be valuable, and they haven't worked out due to themselves, the club, or managers. And like I say, we haven't got a proven track record, and that's why that it's quite an easy point to make, isn't it? That's all it is. It's an easy point to make. Let's just hope the new signings prove them wrong this season.
You can also argue the point, right? Money doesn't buy you what you want. Birmingham City spent 30 plus million 3 years ago.
Yeah.
On what? We bought what for 30 million? We bought Harley Dean, Maxime Collin and Dean, you can argue were worth their money. We spent a crap load on Ndoye and Stockdale and all these loans that never played.
Even Roberts was 3 to 4 million, wasn't it?
He was, yeah. I think he rose to 4 million. I still think Roberts is okay personally, but
worth 4 million, James. You can get Clark Salter for nearly 5.
Well, yeah, you can argue that as well. So it's a good point. But like I say, these guys saying, "Oh, we haven't spent any money. It's not inspiring." Okay, well, let's go and spend 30 million again, get ourselves in trouble with financial fair play, and still struggle down the bottom. I'd rather us do this, where it's a measured approach, where we're looking at factors like age, Lecco and all of that, and Terrell is still 25. Keeper 25 is very young for a goalkeeper. Sanchez is 27, so you could still get 5-6 good years out of him. All of these factors, you're not spending any money. Friend and Clayton, you factored them in where they've got experience, so they're going to bring the experience to the squad. And we're not breaking the bank, and we're not going to be in trouble. So if it fails, it's like, it's not good, but you're not going to be in trouble anywhere else other than just trying to stay in the league. We could go and blow 30 million and be in all sorts of trouble again. So no, I would think it was rubbish, and anybody panicking needs to just calm down and just take a look at. And they haven't even watched the players yet. We need to see them first before we can make a comment on them.
Definitely, James. Football is a game of opinion.
Absolutely.
And you'll find that, especially in the Blues. Do you know what I mean? There's always varying opinion. I look at Bristol City, a club that second tier pod obviously highlighted. They're quite excited about for next season. Their business is not far from what we've done.
Yeah.
They signed Chris Brunt and Steven Sessegnon the other day. I imagine George Friend's going to probably offer, I know different positions, wrestling, but I imagine Clayton or Friend will offer us more than I imagine a 35 now. Chris Brunt, 36 maybe.
35, 36.
Exactly.
Steven
Sessegnon, a young player who's obviously shares the same second name as Ryan Sessegnon, but again, never got to his level. Is he any better or worse than Lecco?
You don't know. We don't know.
And that's the point,
Yeah, you don't know.
It's all about perception. It's all about perception.
Absolutely. Steve, they brought in Chris Martin up front. He's 30. Yeah. 30 something. Okay, yeah, exactly. He's going to get you. He'll probably get you 10 goals this season. That's fine. Free transfer. I'd have taken Chris Martin had he not been the same sort of player as Juki. So, but I think you're picking up two players there in Brunt and Martin who have got experience. So that's what we've done with Clayton and Friend. We need a left-sided centre-back. We're bringing a left-sided centre-back with experience who Karanka knows. He knows both of these players. So it's probably less of a risk than Bristol City's. And then all these young players match up to what they've done. They've not broke the bank for anyone. But yeah, everybody's saying how well they're doing this summer in the transfer market. I think it's just people like to pick on Blues. I don't like to feel like the victim, but they love having a go at us.
Yeah, Blues are brilliant to get some money in to read articles. We're a brilliant headline.
Yeah.
But like you say, for me as well, I look at the bookies. You look at the pundits and the betting companies. They haven't got Blues down as relegation favourites. Which the last few seasons, last 4 or 5 seasons, we're always relegation favourites. Surprisingly, this season, I've not seen one pundit or betting company list us as a relegation favourite.
No, like I say, if we finished anywhere lower than 17th this season, I'd actually be relatively disappointed. So from what we've got already, I think we can finish higher than that. There's still lots to be done, which we'll go on to now. So how do you think Blues then go about making people's opinions turn from I'm a bit worried still about what we've got to this has been a really successful transfer window?
It's the same as the players, isn't it? I think Karanka talked about their heads dropping. They've got this mentality of being losers. They haven't got a winning mentality. And again, the fans, it's the same as it's trust. Blues have a track record of not not reaching our expectations. So again, I think like you say, I think Blues fans will give the team and Karanka time. But again, we've got to see commitment. We've got to see competitive nature in them. We've got to make sure we compete every game, not sitting behind the ball for 45 minutes like sometimes with the Pep Quartet. We want to see be able to compete with every side we play against. Yeah, in Cambridge, where we weren't great, we were in the game.
Yeah, of course
we look like we were going to score 2-3 goals. We were in the game until the last minute. And as a Blues fan, personally, that's all I can ask for.
Yeah, like I say, it's going to take time. It's not an overnight sort of thing. We need to give them time. We need to give them the chance to continue to build the squad. Yes, we need to be more competitive. Well, we need to be competitive. That's all we we can ask for at the minute. If we give 110% every game, then it's a case of quality, isn't it, really? But that's the quality we're missing at the minute. What positions are still needed in this transfer window?
See, everyone's got an opinion on this. It all varies. I think I'm in two minds, really. It's whether the targets we want are available, and what price they're available at. I think personally, we may not go the targets we want. I think we'll get maybe two strikers in, maybe a buy and a loan, and we'll get another goalkeeper in, and that's all I think we'll do. Personally, I think the market isn't right. I don't think the targets that they want, clearly they haven't got. If we're going back to Hogan now, 6-8 weeks on, clearly we haven't reached the target we wanted to get. Even with the goalkeepers, it's gone quite quiet. So for me, just two strikers and a goalkeeper.
I think most would be relatively okay with that if they were to provide two strikers and a goalkeeper, because then I think we look pretty comfortable in most positions then. If you get Lecco back and you can keep everyone fit, you've got pretty much two in every position, give or take. Hogan doesn't surprise me in the slightest. There's rumours come out last week that Alan Nixon says that Blues are backing for Hogan, trying to do a deal. That doesn't surprise me because I think there was a deal in place the end of last season to try and buy him back. I think Villa have signed Ollie Watkins since. So Hogan's probably like fifth choice now. They'll just want him off the books. It wouldn't surprise me if they try and do some sort of deal where, there's no fee involved, but Blues have to take his wages to help, take it off the books there. That wouldn't surprise me. I'm not guaranteed that that's happened. I'm just talking off what I would think would happen. But if you bring Scott Hogan back, for me, that's a really good signing because we know at this level he can score goals. Pre-lockdown, Hogan scored 7 in 8 games. You'd be silly to judge a player after lockdown in those 9 games because everybody was awful. Absolutely everyone was awful. Hogan had no supply. He had no support. He was given nothing. The one game we all looked decent in was the Fulham game. And he was lone striker then, and he looked really, really good. I think as an option up front with him, Juki, and another striker, that would really please me.
Yeah, I think I was one of his biggest critics, obviously post-lockdown, due to his attitude. But I think in hindsight now, I look back, I think maybe that attitude was personal, not to the club, or obviously it come across negative to the club, the fans, his teammates, but it might have been personal really because of what good form he was in. We could see his attitude change as he started to come in, started to score some goals. He was a lot happier, and like I say, he's a confidence player. Can he reset the attitude and really get the? And if he joins Blues, can he get his season going again?
Who knows?
I'm unsure. But I think our options are limited now.
Depending on the fee, like I say, if you can get him for a very, very minimal fee, you're getting a player that, like I say, could potentially score you 15 plus goals. Obviously, the same question was asked. Could he do it when we were loaning him in? Everybody was like, don't know. Might not be a good signing. Probably hasn't done anywhere else. And he came in and scored 7 goals straight off the bat in 8 games. If you can get him in the right system, give him the right service, in my opinion, he's a very, very good goal scorer in this league with plenty of pace and very intelligent in the box. And he offers us something different. I can see Blues going down the route of Juki as one of the options. So you've got a big target man who can do the hold-up work and all of that. Then you've got Scott Hogan, who's got, very nimble and very good in the box, that sort of fox in the box player. And then I can see them trying to sign a third player with a lot of pace and power, someone really strong and physical and, hard to handle in that aspect. So they've got 3 different options. That's the kind of route I can see them going in. And Hogan fits that number 9 fox in the box sort of poacher that we desperately need.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like say, Crank has mentioned, he wants to play different formations. And he will tweak the team, and that's what the board wanted. They said for the last few years they want they want more than one plan into a game. I think if we do sign him, I think the wingers might play closer to Hogan, more of an attacking three instead of wingers might come more in field. But like I said, we'll see. He's not a bad option, but like I said, I think we will end up with two strikers again, mixing it up, a Hogan, and then maybe like I say, more of a Shay Adams, Vassell type player, quicker, more aggressive, more physical.
I was thinking like a Vass sort of player, a Vassell. I think I said a couple of weeks back, maybe on here, that Caden Jackson's a great shout at Ipswich. He was linked to, I think Bournemouth had a bid rejected for him yesterday of £2 million, or it might have been less, somewhere between £1 and £2 million. I think, and someone said, well, his stats don't match up in this league. Well, Shay only scored, I think, 8 goals in 2 seasons for Blues across his first 2 seasons before he hit the 22. So I think it'd be hard to judge him off one season with a really crap Ipswich side 2 years ago. 11 goals, 8 assists last season is pretty good in League One. It's a competitive league still. So I think he'd be a great option. But, there's talk from Brian Dick in the Birmingham Mail the other day that he expects Blues to open the checkbook and he expects Blues to sign a marquee striker. That's coming, that's a term where they're probably going to spend 3, 4, 5 million and bring in a real good calibre of striker. I can definitely see them trying to sign someone from the Championship, if I'm honest. Someone with pedigree. Couldn't give you a name, don't know who. Off the top of my head, wouldn't want to guess because prices are so all over the place. But I think these sorts of deals, like the £4 or £5 million deals, they take so long to do. And Blues want to make sure they get it right. And I just want to see fans just relax a little bit. It's not ideal that we're going into the season with no striker. It's not ideal. We know that. No one's under the influence that it's ideal. But what's 2 or 3 games where we don't have that striker compared to a 46-game season? It's not. It's not a massive hit.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. I think my only concern is this marquee striker. Normally, you do, obviously with Ivan Toney, obviously Watkins today. Normally, there's a lot of talk. The more money in the deal, the more agents take their share. Normally, there's a lot more conversation about it. That's my only concern. Is that I know Blues have been sorting out their leaks and the rest of it, but I feel as if there was a player 5 million plus, we would have heard something by now from someone involved in the deal. So like I say, I think we might end up with a Hogan or a loan situation for the next 2-3 weeks. And it might come down to the last week or two of the transfer window where we do sign a marquee striker. Yeah. But I'm going to disagree with you, James. I think we'll actually go abroad.
Possible.
I think the only club we'll buy from is Barnsley. And obviously I know Brown's we mentioned.
He's actually just signed for Stoke today.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, 2 million.
He's
apparently.
Not an option.
No.
Oh well, he's not an option.
Good player.
No. I know Stoke mentioned.
Good player, Jacob Brown.
Again, I've mentioned Woodrow a few times, but are they going to want to get rid of him now?
Probably not.
That's why I do say I think we will go abroad. It seems to be cheaper. It has proven to be cheaper, but
higher risk factor, of course. But cheaper,
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you say, I think the transfer strategy we've had the last season or two, apart from Bayer, really, not any other players really kicked on. Sunage has been hit and miss. Apart from Bayer, has been a success. There hasn't really been any other successes so far. So it's a hard one. It's a hard one to identify, really.
It is, yeah.
But I think we will be. I think it'll happen in January or the last 2 weeks of the transfer window. This one, the summer one, we will be signing a striker for 5 million plus.
Yeah, I can see it happening. I think that's where a lot of the money's going to go. Most of our transfer budget, which will be 4 or 5 million, that's most of it, is going to go on a top striker because the club, I think, has learned. I don't know. I would like to think they've learned that they keep skimping on strikers. They're going to keep getting bitten in the arse, and they keep getting bitten in the arse every year. We sold Shay for a good price. And we haven't replaced him since. We need to replace him. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to find that striker that's going to get them 15 goals plus next season. But at the same time, they also want a goalkeeper, a number one goalkeeper. Neil Etheridge is still the name that keeps getting bandied about. I think Phillips is linked with Bournemouth as well today.
Yeah, they're going from there.
Doesn't surprise me. I think there's about 10 teams in for Phillips. So, that's not a surprise because he was the best goalkeeper in the Championship. Maybe all bar one or two. But considering how well he did for a relegated side was unbelievable. So, yeah, there's going to be plenty of suitors. Can I see Blues getting Phillips or Etheridge? I still think they will. I still think they'll get one of those two. I don't think it's a case of money, because it's negotiations, isn't it? You can't. If Cardiff are saying £1 million for Etheridge, well, you don't just go in and pay them £1 million straight off the bat, do you? It's a negotiation. You go in and say, okay, it's 500,000. They say no. We go back and say, well, what do you want? They say £1 million. So you just kind of creep up and you try and find a deal, but it just sometimes takes a long time.
Yeah.
That's why fans need to be patient so that we can get the right deal. Because you don't want to see us in that same FFP position where we just have the money, and we end up 3 years again of crap. So I think I'm confident that we'll get 2 strikers, a goalkeeper, and a centre back. I personally believe that that's the 4 positions we'll get, and then we'll close up for shop, and maybe a few will go out on loan, a few will go out permanently. Maybe like one of the midfielders will go out permanently. Maybe a few loans for the younger kids, and we'll shut up shop and we'll stop. But yeah, go on.
But for me, Jan, I think the mature decision is, what's the ambition of the club? Let's look at the transfer. Let's not just buy anyone and spend the money we've got. Yeah. Let's have a look at the market. Is it value for money? At the moment, probably not. The ambition probably is to stabilise the players, stabilise the club.
Yeah.
So we haven't got any ambitions of probably promotion or winning the league, which isn't a negative thing. I know a lot of people are saying that if we don't make playoffs or win the league or get automatic promotion, that it's not a successful season. But I think it is. I think, look, if we're honest and transparent to where we've been the last few years, anything 17 and above is a positive.
Yeah, if we get above 17,
improving what we did the season before. You know what I mean? So I think it all depend on what they do. Obviously, Kranker's known to spend money his second year. I know he doesn't always spend money straight away.
Yeah,
I think he evaluates the squad we've got, and that's not a bad thing. We've signed a lot of players the last few years, and we've been quite easy to give a checkbook out to new managers, and it hasn't worked. Like players like Chet Cater, Jonathan Ground, again, they have had some ability and they have some talent, but in Stockdale, we've let them just sit on the bench. Or sit in the stands. Yeah, it's not the right strategy.
No, it's not. And if you look at, like I say, look at the players that are brought in, it's building for the future. Lecco, 21, he's going to be a future player. Terrell, 25, he's still got some time to rediscover that form, and you could get 6 or 7 good years out of him. Sanchez he's probably in his prime now. Prieto's a young goalkeeper, I'd say, at 25 still. You look at a lot of these players coming in and as well, still trying to mix the youth in there as well. It's going to be, they're trying to get these players all merged together and gelled together to then build. So like this season we stabilise and we finish, 16th, 15th, somewhere like that. Then the following season you hit that top 10 maybe, because these players have had that whole year together of experience and they've come on. And then, you keep making your push. So 3 years' time, hopefully, you then get promoted. And I can see them continuing with that strategy. Like I say, a centre-back, Jake Clark-Salter has been linked again. He's only 22 still, so he's still got plenty of, potential and development. I can see them buying, a young striker as well as Hogan, someone that's got potential. And they're going to want to continue to build. They're going to want these younger players who have got resale value, who have got potential. And it keeps the club, stable, and so they're not breaking the bank, so to speak.
Yeah, it comes down to expectations, isn't it? Obviously, we'd all love Blues back in the Premier League, but that is the ambition. We've got to take step by step. We can't rush the process. Look at Brentford. Obviously, they didn't make up last season, but there's no calls to sack the manager or change the board. It's a process that takes multiple years. And we've been a bad way for many years. Jimmy, it takes a lot of time to recover our position. it comes down to psychology, doesn't it? Look at a lot of the interviews with Friend and Clayton in the back, they've been asked, what do you think of Blues before you come? Oh, it's hard to play at Blues, but obviously not going to sit there and go, they're easy to beat. But that's the psychology. Teams know they're coming to Blues and they know they can challenge them. Even at home last few seasons, clubs know they can beat Blues. That's what it comes down to. It's about changing that psychology.
No, absolutely, yeah. And you'd hope they can change it ahead of Saturday. So let's get on to Saturday's game.
Yes.
Preview that one. We kick off our season at home to Brentford at St Andrews. Confident? No? Yes?
It's a strange one, Brentford. I don't know what they'll do this season. Obviously, losing Watkins, maybe losing Ben Rama the next few weeks. Still got a lot of good players. Obviously got Ivan Toney, someone that the Blues did want and apparently put a bid in for. It's a hard one. Like you say, I think if we get a striker in, depends. If we get a striker in by then, will Crank a player from the start?
I don't see us getting one before Brentford.
Probably
now.
not. No.
I'd like to believe. I'd like to believe there's one round the corner, but there's just not. It's going to be a back to the wall job, I think, Saturday.
Yeah.
And that's sad to say. Like you say, that mentality shouldn't be like that, but it's going to be. Especially, like you say, how good Brentford are. You know, they replace Watkins, who they sell for 28, reaching 33 million, and they bring in Ivan Toney for 5. Yeah. They're so good at business. It's just painful. And Ivan Toney's he'll hit the ground running. I'm not sure of it. However, they did struggle on Saturday. I believe Saturday or Sunday, they played
Wickham
and only beat them on penalties.
Yeah.
It was 1-1 in normal time, I believe. And beat them on penalties. So maybe they're still a bit
hungover.
Yes, hungover from last season. That's the right word. And you'd hope that they are. You'd hope that we can catch them cold on Saturday. My fear is I don't think we're going to get battered because the defence has looked really good. I'm relatively comfortable with the 6 in front of the goalkeeper, and Prieto looks okay. You know, a bit of a mistake on Saturday, but I think he looks okay. I think the 6 in front of the goalkeeper look okay. It's going forward. We do not look threatening, and if we're going to do anything, it'll either be a snatch and grab like we did against Brentford away last season, or we try and get a 0-0.
For me, I think the first goal wins this game. I think whoever scores the first goal wins this game. I think if we concede first, again, back to that psychology. Once we concede, we can't score 2 goals. If they know as players that they will struggle to overcome that deficit. I think the first goal is important in this game. I think Crank might go 6, 7, 8 beyond the ball first half, and then maybe come out more second half. If we survive the first half, we've got a chance. But it's taking opportunities. We're not going to score from open play, and we haven't been very good at scoring from open play the last few years.
No.
But set pieces, get Medina on the free kicks. That's what we need. But yeah, I think if we utilise set piece, I imagine Crank will look at set pieces. We've got some big centre halves from free kicks and corners. I think that's what we'll try and hit them with. And Brentford aren't known for brilliant defenders at set pieces, so
they're not.
Let's hope we can catch one in.
Yeah, I think, like you say, I think that's it. We've got to be clever where we catch them. Do we have the ability to? I think we have the ability to hurt them. We just at the minute don't look like hurting teams. No, I think we lack that striker to spearhead us. I think that's a big loss. I think that Bella's not quite found his feet this season, which he will. You can see he's a good player. He will.
Yeah.
Crowley as well. It's not a settled side yet. We've not got everyone we need in. So we need to be clever, like you said. We need to be very cute. I think set pieces was a big positive for us last season. So you're right. If we can try and catch them on a set piece and try and hang on, then that's got to. But I also think we need to be brave and try to almost not match fire with fire, but we need to try and get the ball a little bit more and maybe have a bit more possession and to stop them having it all and maybe stop them, coming on to us so much, because if we invite pressure, you increase the chances of conceding. if we can at least have some of the possession without hurting them, you limit that that chance.
Definitely. I think it's been disciplined. I think Blues have a really bad habit of making mistakes, losing focus. I think we saw a start last season that we were one of the highest that conceded in the first 15 minutes after half time. We're just poor. We lose focus. Even set pieces. Sometimes quick corners or quick free kicks, we get done. Sometimes luckily the referee brings them back sometimes. But again, as long as we stay focused and disciplined, we should be all right.
So going into this one, how do you see us lining up? How would you like to see us line up?
Well, I got Adnan George up front right last week.
Even though obviously nobody heard it.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Obviously
It's disappointing.
Yeah.
But he definitely did. I'll vouch for him on that one.
Thanks, James. Thank you. I think Prieto in goal again, obviously, is the only option we've got really at the moment. Colin, Pedersen, I think, will remain. Friends, Dean will remain. I can see probably Sunnage and Clayton this time from the start. And then I'd probably go with... I'm not sure if he'll start Sanchez. I think I'm going to go bold. I think he might go bold and he will start Sanchez on the left. Will he play on the left or right, James, do you think?
On the right, I would have thought.
Right. Yeah, probably on the right and then Bell on the left. Crowley in the middle. Adnan George up front, I imagine, again.
It's got to be in it at the minute.
Yeah.
I'm not too dissimilar to you. I think the same back four, Prieto in goal. I think you're right. I think he'll go with Sunyich and Clayton in midfield. I don't think he'll start Sanchez, though. In my opinion, I think he'll go with a forward three of Bella, Crowley and Bailey. Probably stick Bailey out on the left or put Bailey down the middle and Crowley out on the right-hand side, maybe. And then I think George up front because I think Juki's another week away. I think guards might make it onto the bench for this one, which would be good to have another option. Yeah, but don't see him starting because he's not fully fit. Sanchez has only had a week's training. He could start. He very well could start. I would be surprised to see him in, though. Pleasantly surprised, but I would be surprised to...
I've got a bit of an idea, John. I think he might play Sanchez in the Crowley role. He might put Crowley on the left-hand side. Obviously, more defensive probably than Sanchez. I know a lot of people have said that he's a bit lazy defensive-wise. So he may, obviously, Owen Bailey's a younger player. He might trust Crowley to do a bit more defensive work. Obviously, did it last season. And put Sanchez in that number 10 position. Give him more freedom for his first game, less defensive responsibility, and maybe more creative freedom as well. Yeah,
no, definitely. It could work. Sanchez can play in that 10 as well as Crowley. We know Crowley can get stuck in. It's all about that balance, isn't it? It's all about finding that right sort of... I think we need to set our stall up and maybe hope that Brentford come and change it to match us. I guess that would be nice to think, but I doubt it. But, we need to set the precedence for this game. I think we need to go out there and try and implement our style. But it's a tricky one to call, but score prediction?
I'm going to be optimistic and go 2-1 Blues.
Wow. Okay. I like your optimism. I really do. I tell you what, if you're telling me 2 goals, who's scoring them?
Adnan George, double. That's my last week prediction. I've got 5 in him.
Oh, God. Double.
No, I think...
The poor kid.
I think it'll be a set piece. I think it'll be a Pedersen goal first. Yeah. And then I've got a feeling Sanchez might get off the mark if he plays. I'm going to go with a 1-1. I think we'll get something, actually. I think we'll surprise a few and get something. I think 1-1. And I think it'll be a set piece. I can see someone like Dean scoring, for example. Yeah. I would take a 1-1 from this one. I'd take a draw to start the season off against a decent team. I think we play Swansea then the week after, which makes it no easier. But I suppose you can get the hard ones out the way early, then that's fine. But yeah, I think that just about wraps it up from us today, doesn't it, Corey? I think. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the episode, don't forget, please leave a thumbs up. Please leave a comment down below. Obviously, there's been a lot to talk about. Let us know what you're thinking in terms of the transfers. Are you happy so far? What's left to come? Where do you think we need to strengthen? Obviously, me and Corey very much split on that opinion. Give us your score predictions and your lineup for Nick, obviously Saturday's game. I was thinking next week, Saturday's game. There's a lot of good comments on the last video from you guys, a lot of in-depth talk from some of you, so I really appreciate it if you can leave those again. Don't forget, if you want to listen to us on Spotify, if you're in the car or on commute somewhere or wherever you are in the office or something like that, you can always listen to us on Spotify, and go and follow us on socials as well if you haven't already. But Corey, thanks for joining us again.
No worries.
Hopefully it's going to be 3 points by this time next week when we meet each other again.
Yeah, Adnan George double. I'll be celebrating it.
You will. I'll tell you what. If you get to double, I'll buy you some beers. How about that for next week?
Look forward to it.
But thank you so much, guys, and keep right on.
Keep right on, guys.